Welcome to a special S&P 500 analysis. Today is March 11, 2021. The S&P 500 made new all-time high and closed with a new all-time closing high today. This was not a surprise to us as we were alerted to this possibility by the Emini S&P 500 futures. Now that a new high is made, is this the top? In this video, we'll look at the market internals, its sentiment, and the price action of the S&P 500 and the other major market indexes to see if the market is telling us this is the top. Stay tuned. Once again, I have placed a timestamp for each segment of this video in the description below, so you could use it to skip around to various segments. But please do not use these timestamps without having first watched the entire video. Otherwise, you could be missing the message from the market and you won't get the full picture on what the market is telling you. Now, looking at this intraday chart of the internal and sentiment, we see the S&P 500 kind of faded after putting in a new high today. The new 52-week high continued to expand over the new low during the entire session, and the up-down volume ratio is pretty much steady throughout the entire session, around 2-to-1 in favor of the up volume. And the VIX was also stable near the 22 level, while the put-call ratio hovered near the 0.5, and the advancing issues led the declining issue by a margin of more than 1,600 during most of the session. So once again, today's S&P 500 new high was supported by strong internals and positive sentiment. Looking at the daily chart of the market sentiment and internal, we see the VIX continue to move down toward the 20 level, and it finished the session at 21.91. And the put-call ratio remained at the risk-on level of 0.51, and it has not reached the greedy level yet. And moving on to the daily internal, the up-down volume ratio remained positive. Today, it finished with a ratio of almost 2-to-1 in favor of the up volume, and the advancing issue outnumbered the declining issue by 1,738. And the New York Stock Exchange new 52-week high, new 52-week low showed there was 503 more new 52-week high than new 52-week low. And the NYSE cumulative AD line moved to a new high along with the S&P 500, closed with a new closing high. Now let's look at the Nasdaq market internal. The Nasdaq 100 had another strong day. It gained over 300 points, or 2.38%. The up-down volume ratio was almost 6.5-to-1 in favor of up volume. This is 6.5 times more up volume than down volume. And the advanced decline was impressive as well. The advancer led the decliner by a margin of 2,404. And there was 417 more new 52-week high than new 52-week low. And the Nasdaq cumulative advanced decline line put in a new higher high, while the Nasdaq 100 moved higher. This is another sign of internal strength from the advanced decline. Now let's go take a look at the price action of the S&P 500 and the other indexes. From the daily chart of the S&P 500, we see the S&P 500 put in a new intraday all-time high and also closed with a new closing high at 3,938.98. Although it did not close above this February 16 all-time high, and to some this might interpret it as a negative and a possible market top. But be reminded what matters is the close, not the intraday value. And we will look at why this most likely not a market top later on in this video. We will continue to monitor for possible move to the 4,000 level on the upside and a retest of this trend line on the downside near the 3870. The Nasdaq 100 booked this descending trend line. We'll be watching to see would it get a follow-through and move up to this 13,280. If not, then we'll be watching a possible potential support down at the 12,439 and the 12,204. The Russell 2000 had another strong day and made a new high and closed just half a point from the new all-time high. Very impressive. We will continue to watch for a newer high and then move toward the 2400 level. Again, the potential support is the upper channel trend line. And the New York Stock Exchange Composite Index also made a new all-time high and closed with a new all-time closing high. This indicates there was broad market participation in today's new high. The Dow Jones Transportation made another new all-time high and closed at a new closing high and closed above the 14,000 level. We will continue to monitor for further new high. The lower channel trend line remain to be the potential support. The Dow Jones Industrial also made a new all-time intraday high and closed with a new closing high. We will continue to watch for another new high because the Dow theory and today's confirmed high tell us to look for this possibility. Potential resistance could be the upper channel trend line, and the potential support is the lower intermediate channel trend line. Now let's go take a look at the Emini S&P 500 future to see if it has met the target that we've been waiting for. Today is when majority of the traders are rolling from the March contract to the June contract, and this could confuse the picture a little, but we'll try to make as much sense from it as best we can. This is the March contract, and as you can see, today's high was 3 ticks shy of the February 16th Globex all-time high, and the target is to tag this level to legitimize it as a valid all-time high for the E-mini S&P 500 future, and also pushes the cash index of the S&P 500 to new high. The S&P 500 cash index got its new high today even without the March contract, tagging the February 16th Globex all-time high. Now, if I switch to the June contract, we see the February 16th Globex high was 3,947.75, and today's high was 3,949. So under the June contract, it has tagged the February 16th Globex all-time high, but the March contract has not. Does this mean we should still continue to expect a new high from the March future contract and the cash S&P 500 index? Fortunately, we have this index chart to help give us clarity. On this index chart, we see multiple indexes made new high today. The New York Composite, the Dow Jones Transportation, the Dow Jones Industrial, the S&P 500, and the Russell 2000. The only index that did not make new closing high today was the Nasdaq 100 and the Nasdaq Composite. So the takeaway from this chart is the market does not top when there are multiple indexes making new high, because the market top is a process, not an event. And the process involves going from a broad market advance to a narrowing market advance as it coming to an end of the cycle. So when the market top, we would not expect to see multiple indexes to close at a new closing high. And more importantly, the market internal that we saw earlier did not support the thought that today's closing high is a top. So in regardless whether the E-mini S&P 500 future contract have tagged the Globex high or not, we will continue to monitor for possible new high from the S&P 500 cash index. If you are new to this channel, be sure to subscribe, and if you have been watching this channel and have not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button to subscribe, and be sure to smash the thumbs up to help me promote and share this video. Thank you for watching and stay safe.